Professor Francesca Paletta's speech discusses a sociologist's perspective and understanding of social movements. She began by covering the topic of goals in relation to social movements and how having multiple as opposed to a singular one is an advantage rather than disadvantage. Um, One of which was how a movement with a variety of goals appeals to more people and a bigger demographic and has the ability to capitalize off the opportunity it presents to work on such different fronts. Paletta goes on to discuss the emergence of social movements and how, for the most part, they are there long before most of the public is aware and pays attention to them. Media coverage plays a huge part in the mobilization and attention of a social movement, how both the movement itself and the media frames the message of a movement can determine its persuasiveness and ultimately its success. One of the more prominent things that I learned was that social movements are not always targeting the government, but rather things such as organizations, beliefs, and behaviors. I think that is one of the bigger misconceptions about social movements, largely because we do see a lot of media coverage on issues surrounding the government and legislation. We are also more likely to learn about political movements and those regarding the government and class, and as opposed to movements that challenge other organizations. Like she stated in the speech, many social movements do target outside institutions and are aiming to make societal or corporate changes, which is something that I was not really aware of before. The second thing that I learned was that people rarely join movements on their own. It requires pre-existing networks to really get people involved, and we are much less motivated to actually do something about a cause when we have no real connections or insights into it, which creates a challenge for these movements. Paletta also brought up an interesting point in the case of people participating through the internet or through social media with things such as petitions. It makes it much easier for the public, and we are always almost more willing to participate when it doesn't require as much effort or thought on our part.